Bengals, Eagles. We'll talk about this coming up next on the Wincinnati podcast.
It's an exciting time to be a Bengals fan.
Welcome to the Wincinnati podcast. I'm Ace. He's Zim. We are powered by BETUS, so shout out to them for sponsoring the show. We're here to talk about Bengals, Eagles. Big matchup coming for you this weekend, this Sunday, 1 p.m. as we stand to kickoff in Cincinnati, Ohio. Bengals going with the white tiger uniform. It's been a while since we wore the all whites, bro. I feel like, is this the first time of the year we doing the all white joints?
Yes, sir. I think this game was flexed to the 1 p.m. spot. But I like the all white in the nighttime games, but it is what it is. 1 p.m. we're gonna do it, and
this was originally for Sunday Night Football.
Yeah, I think so. Or somebody correct me at the very least 4 p.m. I know it got flexed to this 1 p.m. spot. But in the all white too.
Yeah, it was Sunday Night Football, bro.
Yeah. And it got flexed out, and the all white. We haven't lost in them. We played in them 4 times already now, and we haven't lost.
That's crazy. That's crazy. It looks like this was the second demotion for the Eagles. It looked like it was actually 4:25. So
yeah, I thought it was 4 p.m. Yeah,
Eagles got demoted twice. That's crazy. It was supposed to be 4:25 with Nance and Romo on the call, but it was moved up to 1. I mean, I'm good with that. I don't like listening to Romo anyway. I don't want to wait until 4:25. I don't know about you, bro, but like
I don't like that game either. I don't like the 4 o'clock. I feel like
I don't like them 4 o'clock games.
4 o'clock turned into the new primetime game to me. I feel like that 4 o'clock spot, like all eyes on you. Like people have just watched their team win or lose, and it'd be like all eyes on you. The nighttime game is like, now that I'm old and I'm washed, like the nighttime game, I might watch the first half and I'll be like out. That 4 o'clock spot is like the new prime time. You know when that really popped off? When we beat the Chiefs in that 4 o'clock spot, right before the we went to the playoffs or whatever in 2021. I thought like that's when that 4 p.m. spot like just really for our fan base, at least turned up to me.
Like sometimes 4 o'clock games could be cool. Like if it's like a red zone joint that you want to watch, but sometimes I'm too anxious to figure out like what's going on, especially like if there's ramifications kind of going on. Like you said though, if it's at nighttime, like unless it's us, like I ain't even gonna lie. When we were last recording watching the Ravens joint, like once they went up by like 3-4 touchdowns. Like I was like,
I woke up. I'm like, how they get all these points? You talking about that Bucks game, right?
The Bucks game. Like, how did the Bucks score like 21 in the fourth quarter?
I think they kicked another onside kick. I don't even know. You know what I'm saying? So like, I was wondering that when I woke up. I'm at that age now.
Nah, I feel you. But today we're gonna talk to you guys about some injuries that the Bengals have going on. So we'll get into those, like how we see those playing out this week. And then, of course, we got to talk about the Eagles. We're going to also give you guys the Wincy play of the week. So that will be coming up on this episode. So we'll be giving you guys what our pick is when it comes to that. I think I saw something crazy. I think I saw it on the roundtable. Y'all talking about the Browns are plus 25,000 to win the division, which is crazy. It's
a wild world. I remember week 1, week 2, bro was telling us, man, it's free money. Y'all need to bet on the Browns. I'm like, he's not really talking about betting on the Browns these days. So it is what it is.
For sure. But yeah, we'll get into those plus the matchup, which is the marquee matchup of the Bengals and the Eagles coming up next.
I'm really the best in the league. You know that. Y'all being respected.
All right, man. Orlando Brown Jr. they're calling it a knee injury. He was limited today, so he's back in the building. A lot of people started freaking out on Twitter because they saw that the Bengals ended up signing a tackle to the practice squad, which is indicative of, hey, there's been some injuries. We're going to shuffle some things around. I know when they last had an injury to one of the guards, they kind of did something similar. I think what this means, man, with Orlando Brown Jr. practicing today, being in pads, I think it's a great sign. I think it means that he's going to be in there, which was a cause for concern, right? Because we did see Cody Ford in the game. Now, Cody played admirably given the circumstances, came in, didn't really lead to anything that ended up ruining the game for Joe Burrow in the offense. However, you're not comfortable when you have one of the best left tackles in the league out, right? And I know Chiefs fans try to say differently, but honestly, Orlando Brown has been one of the best left tackles in the league this season. Him being back in the lineup, I think is huge, man, especially against this Eagles team, which we'll talk about their pass rush later. But, having him for this stretch of games that they're going to need, you talk about Eagles, Raiders, Ravens, Orlando Brown is a guy that you have to have there. What are your thoughts on the current injury streak? It kind of seems like we're getting healthy at the right time, but the Orlando Brown Jr. one could be a big one.
Let me ask you this, though. On the Orlando Brown one, let's say, would you play the cautious role in this one and just say, maybe we just,
No. We don't. We're 3-4 right now. Like, maybe if we would have, like, had we been in a different circumstance, or had, we won like the Patriots game or the Ravens game, and you kind of had a little bit of a comfortable like lead to kind of co-sign that you're either going to win the division or you're for sure in the playoffs. Yeah, I would do that. Like, if I'm 5-2, like them right now, like the Steelers or the Ravens, yeah, I might rest, Orlando Brown in this game. Like, right now, bro, no way.
Initially, it was diagnosed as tennis leg, and so with tennis leg, it's a rupture inside of, like in the shin area or whatever, right? So
yeah. So is your concern that it's kind of like obviously we're not doctors, but is it like something that can linger? Like Joe Burrow
I'm thinking about the long, like lingering and thinking about the long-term effects of it. Then today it came up that it was a knee thing. So you know what I mean? I'm not even sure. So if it was a knee thing and it's just a bone bruise or something like that, that's something totally different. But the more I kind of get more info on like tennis leg is what people were saying is like, like a rupture inside the calf, and you kind of manage it. You probably put a knee brace on if you're an offensive lineman, to just make sure you don't make it any worse. But it was just a question that I wanted to ask, though. I feel like we're in this mode where Bengals are dying to get back to 4-4. I feel like if they got back to 4-4 and then not even looking ahead at who the next opponent is, just getting back to 500 in this division with the Steelers that I'm not 100% sold on at 5-2, it really puts you in a way better spot, because you still got 2 games that you got to play against the Steelers, and you still got to play the Ravens, where you have a chance to go right the ship on the L that you got. So long-term wise, I wish we had the luxury to rest them. I'm with you. I just don't think that we do.
Jackson Carman, that's what somebody said in the comments.
Somebody said that from a depth standpoint, I wouldn't mind them on like the practice squad or something like that. We brought in the kid earlier today, but I'm good.
The fact that Jackson Carman is still out there right now, I think says all that you really need to know. Like, especially when you talk about injuries and stuff like that, you're talking about a kid that was just drafted like literally a few seasons ago. But I mean, if the rest of the NFL is not really knocking at his door, like now we've seen, like, no matter how you feel about Zach Carter, right? Zach Carter's got a job right now. Like, he just got promoted to an active roster, right? Not that you need to be a starter or anything, but like, this dude's not even on a practice squad right now. And I was probably one of the people that wasn't as harsh on Jackson Carman. Like, I probably was in the minority, but like, bro, the facts is the facts. Like, look at what this situation is right now. There's teams out there with dire needs at tackle that have not touched Jackson Carman whatsoever. So I think that says all you need to know. Like, I get the logic in thinking about it, because it's like he's been in the system and this and that, but you also have to think about why Jackson Carman has never been on the field. It's not really an ability thing. It's more so kind of a personality thing. So with that being said, let's get into this game, bro. Like,
real quick, the kid that they got If people are wondering, I'm sorry. His name is Andrew Coker. He was an undrafted free agent. He's never played an NFL game. He was picked up by the Raiders, I believe. I just want to make sure. Yeah, the Raiders. He played at TCU. He was coming out of final roster cuts coming out of training camp. And I don't really know too much about him. I actually got a chance to watch one of his games a little bit earlier today, just a highlight thing of him. Just a depth piece. So a lot of people were asking about that. I just think that that's an emergency depth piece in case you can't, because they are very thin at the tackle position. And if Orlando Brown Jr. can't go, then you will go with Cody Ford at left tackle. They've already said that they would not move Amarius to left tackle. He would stay at right tackle.
And not comparing these guys, because obviously, you talk about different builds, different playing styles. But the way that I look at this guy is like Isaiah Prince, undrafted tackle, probably not someone that you want in on an active roster. Like probably somebody that you want giving the scout team a look, but not somebody that you want protecting nines blocks high at all.
No.
Like if Andrew Coker is in, then we got problems.
I think Orlando Brown plays on the strength of players generally don't do interviews when they talk directly if they're not playing that week or whatever. He was on the Believe podcast I saw earlier today. He also, it's a great sign that he was at practice on Wednesday, even if he's limited. Guys that generally don't play on that week, they don't start off limited on Wednesday. But it's still some time to figure out what's going on. The Geno Stone one, he was not at practice today too. So I don't anticipate him playing this upcoming week, but tomorrow's a new day also as well. And the only reason why I feel a little bit different about that one is because you have Dejon Anthony, Tyson Anderson, and Jordan Battle.
So let's talk about that. With like these being two different kind of guys, you kind of talked about Geno being like the center fielder. Do you think that that's more of a Dejon Anthony? Like, how do you see that playing out? Is it Jordan? Because Jordan Battle, that's our dog and everything, but I wouldn't say that he's like a center fielder, right? Like, he could play out there, but like, how do you think that they combat that? Is it a combination of both Dejon and him, or where do you see that snap breakdown?
I would love the Bengals to do what I initially thought that they would do anyway when they signed Von Bell, is to go with like 3 safety looks, have Battle, Dejon Anthony, and Bell, and those be the 3. I was talking to Jordan Battle's brother, because I had posed the question, what would the Who Dey Nation do? And a lot of people said Battle. In my mind, for what I've seen the Bengals do generally, they're moving Bell out in favor of Battle, because I think that they feel that he's a box safety, or he plays closer to the line of scrimmage. He's better at that. Talking to people, think of when Geno Stone went out, they did replace him with Battle, which Jalen did remind me of. The other thing is this, to me, this is just my opinion. I don't think that he has the range that the Bengals want, even if he can do it. And the reason why I say that is, why would you go get a Geno Stone if he had the range? And that's where I think Dejon Anthony, where you saw like even in the Chiefs game and other games, they've given him opportunities. I think him and his playmaking ability and the things that I've seen him at training camp, I would go Dejon Anthony, but it would be a committee approach where you're kind of doing safety looks, that whatever. As long as you're not confusing guys, that's what I would do. Let's see what Luke cooks up.
And I think you're right. I think what it is like, not that you won't see Jordan Battle. So if people are thinking that we're saying like it's going to be Dejon Anthony over Jordan Battle, I don't think it's that. I think it's that you'll see Dejon Anthony and Jordan Battle on the field, with Von Bell kind of being like the guy that's rotating in as kind of the third guy from that perspective. So, yeah, I agree with you. And then don't forget also, at some points last season, they were throwing Mike Hilton back there at safety at some point. So I don't know if people were aware of that, but Mike Hilton played some safety last year. You might see some of that as well popping off. Let's get into that then. Let's talk about the secondary of the Bengals versus these Eagles receivers, man. Like, we talk about A.J. Brown coming in. We talk about some of the matchups. I know, like, from what we've said, it seems like for the most part, the best matchup might be CTB against A.J. Brown, right? Because we talk about physicality. Now, some people are talking about maybe you put CTB on Devonta Smith for some reps, just because he can be more physical with them. You seem to be against that. What's your game plan, or what's your approach for the Bengals secondary versus these Eagles receivers that are pretty talented.
I love CTB to death. Saw my boy the other day. Like, hey, Juice, if you're watching this, I got hella love for you, my boy. But I think Devonta Smith will give him that work on some route and stuff. I think his best matchup is a lot like Rashee Rice is a lot like AJ Brown, slants and goes. A lot of people are characterizing AJ Brown as just a go route guy. Remember, Cam Taylor-Britt had the Odell Beckham Jr. pick on a go route going against a physical guy. I think he's one of the few guys that could put pause on him at the line of scrimmage. If it were me, I would go with my physical number one against their number one, and that would be it. And I would barely even give him help, unless it started being a problem. Then you start to adjust your game plan. I think Cam Taylor-Britt has rebounded really nice over the last couple of weeks. That's what I would do. What would you do? I guess. Yeah, the safety thing is a part of the conversation too in helping with AJ Brown.
I think right now, man, if it were up to me, I think I'm actually going to do bracket coverage on AJ Brown with CTV. I'm going to have a safety over the top on him. I think I'm going to trust DJ Turner in coverage against Devonta Smith. Like, I'm going to force them to go to Devonta Smith, right? And if Devonta Smith is the guy that does me in, which, you know, I'm a Devonta fan, but I just feel like the only thing that I like about the Devonta and DJ Turner matchup is I know DJ Turner is going to be there. I just need to know how accurate Hurts is going to be. And what I'm banking on is I'm banking on Trey Hendrickson, Sheldon Rankins, these guys getting pressure so that when the ball comes out and it's going to Devonta, that it might be an erratic throw or something like that. But if it isn't an erratic throw, don't get me wrong, he could cook DJ Turner. And I'm a DJ Turner guy, or you might call me a DJ Turner truther or whatever it is. But I'm trusting on my defensive line from what I've seen from them the last couple of games, them getting enough pressure on Hurts to make him erratic and pull him out of the pocket and make him make throws that would have to be dimes to Devonta Smith. And I'm trying to take AJ Brown completely out of the game from that standpoint. I'm going to have bracket coverage on him because I don't need any double moves or anything like that being hit on CTB. Not that we don't trust CTB. I like him, but you're going to have to make Jahan Dotson or somebody else is going to have to beat me when it comes to that, when it comes to that matchup. So I think if we do that, we'll be okay. The one thing that I worry about, though, is like with how this is stacking up, like if they try to put Devonta in the slot, is it that DJ Turner just goes with him? And in that case, let's say you got CTB over here with AJ Brown on the X, right? And let's say that we have DJ Turner in the slot. Who's the other outside corner? Because you can't put Mike Hilton on the outside.
Well, last week they gave a little bit of Fig Newton out there.
A little bit of Fig? Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, what, Dotson?
Dotson, like, how do you feel about Dotson? Do you think Dotson is like a legit threat? Like, I feel like in this situation, like with these weapons that they have, I think you can live with like death by paper cuts with Jahan Dotson. Like, that's not gonna really kill me. Like, he's somewhat talented, but it's like if it's Jahan Dotson that's your leading receiver, and is AJ Brown has 35 yards, and then it's like Devonta has like 80. I feel like I can live with
that. Man, see, I really, this is the question that I've had since Dax Hill went out. Is like we didn't have to play neighbors. You know what I mean? Like I saw somebody in the comments say, "Man, I trust DJ." I don't. You know, I've watched DJ Turner for 2 years be out-muscled by anybody that's bigger than him. And at any time that he's in a position to make a play, he just doesn't really – he made the play last week, though, right? On fourth down. That was the big, PBU.
Yeah.
I don't know if he could do that for 4 quarters. I don't know, man. I think we're going to find out a lot. I think Dotson, while he was here, Commanders fans, like, well, yeah, as y'all know, I live in D.C. Like, Commanders fans used to love Dotson. Right. So, I don't know what happened to make his fall from grace, like, go like that. But I thought Dotson coming out of Penn State, I think is where he went. I remember watching him. I thought he was good, man. And You know what I mean? I don't know. That's a tricky one for me. I just think, the way that Lou's gonna have to play this, I don't have many answers for a lot of stuff. The good news is we didn't talk about their injury report. Is Dallas Goedert didn't practice today with a hamstring injury, so I don't know if he's going to play. Their other linebacker Zach Bond had a shoulder injury; he didn't play or practice. I'm sorry, Saquon didn't practice, but that was just rest. Yeah, that's the only thing.
The elephant in the room that we're gonna get to is Saquon Barkley. But before we get into that, don't forget this show is sponsored by BETUS. Right now, we're going with a current promo that we're running. So forget the whole 125% promo. If you sign up now, BETUS is offering 150% deposit on your first deposit. You're still going to get the 125 after that on your second and third. All you need to do is enter YouTube promo code YouTube150. So once again, that's YouTube150 for the promo code. We're going to have more on BETUS because we're going to do our Wincy play of the week. But yeah, bro, like I mean, when it comes to this is going to be chess how they're going to have to play it in the secondary.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to have a tough time, I think, with us. We're going to get into that in a second. But I really, this is what I've been thinking about, like this whole, like at the beginning of the season, I was okay. Once I saw Dax Hill start to cook up, I was like, all right, bet. Like, I think it's almost like a point of strength. Once he went down, I'm just not as confident. Mike Hilton on Devonta Smith, I don't like that. I don't like none of, you know what I'm saying? I don't like any of that. Like, you know what I mean? So I think that could pose a bunch of problems. And think about this. Before Deshaun Watson's game is a lot like Hurts. Before Watson went out of that game, I think it was like 15 for 17 or something. They were all like short passes. Right. But I think he kind of gave them a little bit of a blueprint of this is how you pick them apart a little bit. And then you're going to take your shots later. And I think Hurts also, when DTR came in with that weak side, like read option, and then he takes it and gets like a 30-yard run, I think Hurts is going to do that too. So there's a lot of different things from them that they're going to have to read when he goes and puts the ball into the belly of Saquon. Is he passing or is it an RPO and all these different things? You got that. And I don't know if the Bengals got answers for that. I feel very confident. The one thing that I will say is that you brought up a great point about the defensive line. Is like since they got their guys back in the last three, they've been at the top of the league, top 3 in pressure rates. And so if they can get pressure on him, I think Hurts will give us that ball and make some mistakes. And that is one thing that I think we could kind of bank on or at least think that it could happen in our favor.
Yeah, just looking at some of the numbers right now, offensive efficiency. So in terms of rush play percentage, the Eagles are a running team. They run the ball 51% of the time. Bengals on the flip side, we pass the ball 60% of the time. So a run team versus a pass team is the way that this is kind of leaning, even though we have seen from the Eagles standpoint, they do have some firepower on offense. When you talk about yards per rush, that's going to favor Philly. They are averaging 5.0 yards per carry. Bengals are at 4.2. When it comes to yards per play, though, Cincinnati has the advantage at 5.8. When you talk about third down conversion percentage, even though the Bengals didn't have the best game on third down against the Browns, their third down conversion percentage is actually higher than Philly's. So they are sitting at 41% for the Bengals, and then the Philly is sitting at 34.5%, which is somewhat shocking. Then you talk about the red zone scoring. We kind of have talked about in the last couple of games, the Bengals have struggled in the red zone, but they still are converting at a higher rate offensively than the Eagles. Bengals are converting at 66% on the season. Eagles right now, 52%, and that's with touchdowns. That's not field goals. So I know some people might think, oh, the Bengals have been settling for field goals. That could be where it's at. So just looking at that, keep that in mind. Now, however, in the last 3 games that Philly has gotten some of their players back, they are sitting up at 71%. But believe it or not, in the last 3 games, Cincinnati, when they have been in the red zone, 80% of the time they've scored touchdowns. So that's something that's interesting, because if I wouldn't have looked at these splits, I would not have known that, because obviously we're upset with how the Bengals offense has played lately. On the defensive side of things, teams are looking to actually pass on both of these defenses. Teams are actually opting to pass a lot more on the actual Eagles. So Eagles are looking like their secondary might be lunch. I don't know, might be dinner. I don't know.
Oh yeah, I'm ready.
Like, might be food over there because people are opting to pass on this defense 58% of the time. They do have a pretty good run defense, but when you talk about the opponent yards per rush, Bengals actually had the better defense from that metric, 4.4 in comparison to 4.7. And when it comes to the third down conversion percentage, however, it is tough to convert on that Philadelphia defense. People are only converting against that defense 31.94% of the time. Opponent red zone scoring, they're also not allowing many touchdowns at 38.89. Unfortunately, Cincinnati, I might cover my eyes on this. We're allowing, when people get in the red zone, they are scoring touchdowns 68% of the time. So just wanted to throw some numbers out there. Was there any other matchups that you wanted to talk to, partner? Because I know we got a couple, but was there anyone that you particularly wanted to go to?
I think that the Fred Johnson, we know him very well. Used to be a Bengal. I think that one, the Jordan Mulatto coming out at left tackle, and then this guy coming in there, Fred, hasn't really been that great. He gave up a sack last week, 2 pressures, a hurry, and a quarterback hit last week. And 2 weeks prior to that, gave up 2 sacks. So him going up against Trey Hendrickson is a matchup that I think Bengals can exploit. His PFF grade, whatever, from last week was a 36. So we talk about a lot of guys that haven't really performed that well. He's got his hands full, and I think that that's the key to the whole entire game. Him and Sheldon Rankins have to be able to go and do some different stunts and different things to go and go after that. The Eagles do now. Cooper DeJean he was their highest graded Eagle secondary member last week or whatever. But they also have guys like CJ Garner-Johnson that's been a liability in coverage. You have that. You have Darius Slay, who I don't think is as physical as a Jamar Chase. And if you can get him out in space, I don't believe in him as a tackling guy. Quinyon Mitchell has been playing pretty well too. But if you go look at when they played the Buccaneers 2 weeks ago, Baker Mayfield threw for 350 yards. Mike Evans had 100 yards. Godwin had like 68 yards. And Otten had about like 80 yards. And also, both of their running backs, which has a similar profile to our running backs, both ran for 5 yards a carry in that game. And to me, from a firepower standpoint, that is a little bit closer to what I think the Bengals can offer. And those are the things that I think that they can exploit. I think the Bengals can exploit that. I had my favorite stat of the week. On top of the fact that the Bengals in their all white uniforms are undefeated. They played 4 times. I hate that people use stats like that because I do think it kind of jinxes it. But Burrow in the NFC in his last 11 matchups is 10-1. I like the unfamiliarity of this game, and I like what Burrow can offer. And I think this game, Burrow and the wide receivers can exploit some things early on and get this offense back on track. And if that happens, this Trey Hendrickson matchup can really be exploited.
No, I agree with you on that. Before I start to talk about a little bit about the defensive line against their offensive line, we got a super chat here from DJ Mister. My guy, love you guys. Always do. Do you think that we're going to make any trades before the deadline, or do you think we'll have a lot of success against the Eagles secondary? I want us to make a trade. I mean, it's no secret, man, that I want the Bengals to make a move. Will they make a move? Possibly, but would it be them sending somebody like a T. Huddy somewhere? Like, I think that they should look into a player-for-player trade, even if it's some depth on the O-line, even if it's some depth at corner. I think that that's something that they could look to do because to me, there's no reason for Tanner Hudson to be on this roster. I'm gonna just keep it a buck. Like Tanner Hudson is not. He hasn't scored a touchdown this season. Like he's not.
You drafted Tanner McLaughlin.
He's just holding up Eric All's potential, like at this point. So
Tanner McLaughlin.
Tanner McLaughlin is another guy that should probably be playing. So like T. Huddy, to me, I'm moving him for whoever. There was that weird rumor that ended up being fake about Alvin Kamara. Do you think that the Bengals?
Saw he re-signed?
Yeah, I saw he re-signed after that. But like, Like with now, obviously it could just be completely made up. Do you think the Bengals, obviously they're good with what they got in Chase Brown, but do you think that there's any validity to them possibly looking at another running back, or do you think that they're pulling the plug on the Zach Moss thing, or you think that that was just fake news?
I think Zach Taylor talking about how he likes Zach Moss in pass pro, I think has a role. Now, how big is that role? I'm not sure. I would love for the Bengals to go get a more powerful runner. I talked about this in the offseason. Like, I would put Leonard Fournette on the practice squad if he would allow me. Like, if he would come on here on the practice squad, just as like somebody in that mold. I think that there's running backs all over the league that are to be had. Like, that's one of the easier positions to trade for. I think for me though, I will be looking at cornerback. And I think some guys that I've outlined is Jonathan Jones, Jack Jones, and J.C. Horn. Those are three guys that play for teams that are about to have losing records and get up out of there. And you got a guy in Jack Jones that came there as an undrafted free agent, or I might be messing this story up, but he's 26 years old. That's right in the mold that the Bengals like. They're pretty much, the Raiders are in a near fire sale. You got that happening. I know that we play the Raiders the following week, though. I hate that. But I think if the Bengals, and I told you this on this show, if the Bengals were to win this game, it could show that the front office, hey, we just need to get one or two pieces closer to getting to where we want. We don't want anybody long-term that could hurt us signing Jamar Chase or Trey Hendrickson or anything like that. But what we need to do is focus on getting the short term. And I think for this year, there's a couple of guys out there, even a guy like Walker Little at left, another tackle, like somebody like that, like depth pieces, guys that are in fire sales that I think that are out there more in that mode, because Bengals have this extra cap space, then I think it could work.
Nah, I agree with you, man. I really like the J.C. Horn idea. Like, if they're able to pull something like that off, I think that would be the best case scenario for sure. In terms of will we have a lot of success against the Eagles secondary, that kind of streamlines into a little later into the show. But spoiler alert, yeah, I think the Bengals will have some success against them. In terms of the D-line, like you said, I think Trey Hendrickson against Fred is going to be crucial. I think some of the other matchups, when you talk about Sheldon Rankins in this one, BJ Hill, like those guys have been big to what the Bengals have been able to do in the trenches. And then you even talk about Miles Murphy. I know a lot of people are anxious to see him get his first sack of the season. And I think it'll be coming up here pretty soon, especially when it comes to containing a guy like Hurts and what he can bring. But this is by no means an easy offensive line. Like we talk about Lane Johnson, we don't know if he's going to actually play, but if Lane Johnson is in there, he's clearly a difference maker. You kind of talk about Mekhi Becton, they got him there, Cam Jurgens, Landon Dickerson. So this is a pretty good offensive line. Like, it's not one that you're going to be guaranteed to just completely get pressure against. So that game, I feel like the trenches is going to play a huge factor in how things go. One thing that's going to be a huge factor, though, Saquon Barkley, bro, coming off of what could have been a career high game for him. He literally chose not to go back in, wanted the young fellas to get going. But Barkley is the guy that I look at in this offense, and I'm like, that's the engine, right? Like, they love to run. He's a special runner. Not only can he run, he can be a problem out of the backfield. The Bengals defensive line and linebackers against Saquon Barkley, I think is going to be pivotal in this game. They're going to have to make sure that they get this kid down. We haven't seen any issues from them lately, knock on wood, with the missed tackles and stuff like that. And I think that they've done a good job in the last 2 or 3 games against the run. But this might be the best running back I think that they faced this season.
Derrick Henry?
Yeah, I think Saquon overall, like, I know that Derrick Henry is the rushing leader right now, but no, I think Saquon is more of a complete back. He can do more. He can catch out of the backfield. Like, Saquon is kind of crazy. I feel like he is somewhat, like, I probably wouldn't have drafted him number 2 overall, But like, yeah, Saquon is, to me, he's a lock to be like a top 3 running back in this league.
Yeah. I'm with you. I just wanted to ask that question because I know somebody gonna be like, well, what about Derrick Henry?
Yeah, for sure.
The difference with the Derrick Henry, this is what makes the Saquon game a little bit scarier for me. I don't know why. I was on that other show and I was just talking about AJ Brown. And they were like, "Yeah, Saquon Barkley. You know Saquon Barkley coming." I'm thinking to myself, but I'm like, bro, we stopped Derrick Henry, but the difference is we went heavy box, heavy 8 in the box the whole game, 8-9 in the box. Derrick Henry game to get Derrick Henry to have a 4 quarters with 41 yards.
Right.
You can't do that with Saquon Barkley because he'll just kill you out the backfield and they'll throw it to him. Like they'll cook you that way. And I just think that also with the wide receivers, you can't do that either. That's what makes them a lot more dangerous, and the quarterback can run. So, yeah, I don't have a legit answer other than the fact that I will tell you this. The Bengals did sign the kid that I said earlier today from TCU, undrafted guy, whatever, and they let Dominique Davis go, right? No longer on the practice squad, whatever, right? On the strength of they feel like they got Dexter Lawrence at home. They got the guys in the building we like. I sound like Duke Taylor. But Sheldon Rankins and company, BJ Hill and them are starting to pick up the pace. And I will say up front, it is not DJ Reader, but I do think that they can show those bare fronts up front, and they have a good rotation where they're able to move outside inside if they have to. Murphy as a run defender is also excellent. Hubbard's playing real good run defense as well too. I think that if you're going to run on them, it would be right behind the guards, because anything out there stringing out to the perimeters or anything trying to bounce outside, I kind of like our guys. I like our defensive front up front, and I think the plan that I didn't even say McKinley Jackson, the plan that the Bengals had in the offseason to they're playing for not replacing DJ Reader, but supplementing it with multiple bodies and having 8 guys rotating. I think that can help, and I think it's going to go a long way for the season. And I'm much more confident in that than our secondary. And I think that this is why I've been so more focused on A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith, because I've seen a guy like Zay Flowers cook us up. If Zay Flowers could do that, I know Devonta Smith could do that. So I've been more so focused on that, I think, because I'm a lot more confident in the run game. I mean, the run defense up front.
Nah, for sure. Nah, I mean, Saquon Barkley, I think, like you said, it's going to take a whole commitment from the Bengals defense to try to just contain him. I think if they can do that, I think they'll be fine. Like, now, even though I'm talking about Saquon Barkley, before last game, he didn't have an amazing game against the Browns. 18 carries, 47 yards, 2.6 yards per carry. Before that, even though he had a crazy yards per carry, he only had 10 attempts for 84 yards against the Bucs. So there's certain things that you can do to try to make him not be
in the Browns game. Did AJ Brown play though?
Yeah, that was AJ Brown's first game back.
That was his first game back. I got him in fantasy now, so I'm just checking. Like I'm like, okay, I don't know. Yeah.
But the thing about Saquon is, as I talk about, like, people are like, "Oh, are you taking him or are you taking Derrick Henry?" In the passing game, Saquon is there. So although he may have like one game over 100 yards rushing, he has, what is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games where he's got over 100 scrimmage yards. So combined, that's something that he's done. He's also going to catch touchdowns and stuff like that as well. So that's where you just can't allow him to really run away with this game. And I think the Bengals have a plan for Saquon as it stands.
He's a lower body, stronger version of Joe Mixon to me. And he's always been like a touch faster. Like the catching ability of Mixon, to me, they're like neck and neck. But the running ability of Saquon, him breaking tackles, is everything that I think everybody towards the end of the Mixon tenure was saying, well, I wish he would just break more tackles. Saquon, if you don't get a good wrap up on him, he's out of there, and he's going to break that tackle because his lower body is crazy. Joe Mixon has a crazy lower body.
Speaking of lower bodies, let's toss it to our good friends over at Manscaped. All right, guys, it's the best time of the year. Football's back. We're talking Sundays, college football Saturdays, and glorious grind of fantasy football lineups. This is where your inner GM comes alive, setting the perfect fantasy roster, screaming at your TV, and making last-minute waiver moves that either make you a hero or the guy that everyone ridicules in the group chat. But listen, while you're over there making sure your fantasy team is dialed in, don't let your personal grooming become the guy that gets you left on the bench. Let's be honest. Nobody wants to fumble their grooming routine, and that's where Manscaped's Performance Package 5.0 Ultra comes in, acting as your all-in-one grooming playbook. From keeping things sharp down there below the Lawnmower 5.0 to taking care of those rogue ear and nose hairs with the Weed Whacker 2.0, this is the lineup that'll keep you looking like a champ on and off the field. Join the over 11 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped and get ready for kickoff by heading to manscaped.com using the code Wincy for 20% off and free shipping. Trust me, you'll be drafting the real MVP this season. All in one. Yeah, man. Make sure if you got a crazy lower body that you sign up for Manscaped. No, but shout out to Manscaped, man. We appreciate y'all rocking with us. Just to make sure that you guys are good to go, make sure you go to manscaped.com. Check out with the promo code Wincy. That's going to get you 20% off. You can take care of your business there. Let's talk about the Wincy play of the week real quick, bro. And I haven't shown them this because we're going to do this organically. We shout out to them for sponsoring the show. But I found some props, bro. Yeah, I done found some of the props, bro. So we got touchdowns this week. We're gonna keep it a little different than what we've been doing the past couple of weeks. Now, we got sent a graphic where the line was -3 Bengals. It's moved down to -1.
What?
However, yeah, it's moved down, bro. It's moved down. The line is moving. However, though, we got some touchdowns here now. Bengals only scored 2 touchdowns last week. They only scored 2 the week before. Who do you have scoring a touchdown this week?
Now, this is my rule on this. We need to establish, are we doing a 3-legger? We doing a 4-legger? Like, we don't need to go no over 4.
I think, like, this is just touchdown. So I think we should.
No, I'm just saying, when we put this whole thing together.
I mean, so are you trying to do touchdowns and something else?
Yeah.
With that?
Okay. What else can we do?
We could do Jamar Chase touchdown. We could do point spread. We could do total, over, under. We could do money line.
No, all right. I'm talking about as far as the props, though.
The props, I don't know. I'm only seeing this touchdown one so far.
Okay. So let's just go through.
There might be some other ones. There's game props, but this seems to be the only prop that I'm finding for like at least a touchdown. Hold on. They also have player performance ones. Yeah, it looks like these look like they are touchdowns plus like money line.
I will go AJ Brown, T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, and put them if I could put them 3 together. Crazy.
So you said AJ Brown. The AJ Brown one is nasty. So you saying that he?
I mean, hey, are we trying to make money here, or what are we doing?
I'm gonna say this, bro. I think I could say this one, and it might not be nasty. Give me the Saquon touchdown.
Oh my God, y'all glazes. I hold Saquon. Oh, man,
it's minus 167. What you mean?
I feel like it's a lot of Saquon. I'm gonna tell you when we get to the
Brown is getting a seatbelt put on them because it's plus 129.
Listen, I'm gonna tell you when we get to the my game plan and stuff. I'm gonna talk to you about Chase Brown. Everybody talking that Saquon Barkley stuff. I'm gonna be talking Chase Brown in this one.
At home, huh? All right. So this is what we're gonna do. I'm gonna let you put in a ticket. I'm gonna put in a ticket too. So on your first ticket, what's your ticket for the touchdown?
Jamar Chase.
Bet. What else we got?
I'm gonna go with the same thing we did last. Jamar Chase and T. Higgins.
All right.
And then I'm gonna go AJ Brown.
AJ Brown. All
That's nasty.
That's not nasty. No,
all right,
that's not nasty.
So that the wager on that
plus 900.
What's $50 on that? What's 50 get me on that?
50 is gonna return $500.
Run it.
All right, cool. So if you like living dangerous like Zim and you just going with all of your dogs, I don't even think that's dangerous. I think that has a pretty good chance of happening. I just think touchdowns are just so you just never know, bro. Like Charlie Jones got a touchdown last week, bro. Like he's plus 1,400 this week. But I see where you're going with that. That's like I could see that happening though, because with this wide receiver matchup, which we'll talk about at some point as well.
If they get to the red zone.
Yeah. Matter of fact, bro, talk about the wide receivers. Like you talk about their duo versus our duo while I'm putting in my pick here.
If they get to the red zone.
Let's see. I'm going with Saquon, bro.
That's nasty.
I'm going with Saquon. I'm going Jamar. I'm going Saquon and Jamar. And
shout out to everybody watching right now. If you're on
Chase Brown, bro.
Chase Brown.
Saquon, Jamar, and Chase Brown.
Shout out to everybody watching. If you're on Twitter right now, make sure y'all come on over to YouTube to Wincinnati and be a part of the live chat. It's pretty funny. And plus, we need subscribers. So come on over.
All right, so I'm putting that joint in, man, but I feel good about that one. I think if I'm not going a 3-team one, I'm definitely going Saquon and Jamar. Like I feel like that might be guaranteed money if you go Saquon and Jamar on a touchdown. Team to score first. They got some interesting ones, bro. Team to score first. Cincinnati or Bengals. All right. I'm gonna leave it there, man. If you like any of these other ones, like the Bengals to score first, race to 10 points, who's gonna get it first? Looks like the Bengals are favored on a lot of those. So if you really feeling the Bengals this week, definitely stop by BETUS, put a bet in. Make sure that you guys use the promo code YouTube150 if that is your first time making a deposit. They'll match that 150%. Best receiver duo, though, bro. T. Higgins and Chase or A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith? Who better, bro?
Come on, bro. Let's be for real. There's no better combo in the National Football League than Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. It's just different. It's super different. Normally, when you have a guy that's like an X, you know, that might be a possession guy, and then you got the other guy that's the more, you know, speed guy. So you look at like Waddle, Tyree, like all these different combos, they're always like that. Jamar Chase and T. Higgins so rare because T is such a crazy possession guy, but he also can take the top off, and he's one of the best high point football players in the National Football League. And then Jamar Chase is speed, whatever you need. Like he's just crazy, bro. And right now he's leading the National Football League in yards, and he's only averaging 6.8 targets a game. Yeah,
I'm taking our guys, bro. Like I get it. You might like A.J. Brown. I've even seen some people rank A.J. Brown higher than Chase, which I think is insanity. But yeah, I'm taking our two guys, bro. Like they just bring so much to the game in terms of what they can do on the field. I think they can do more, like you said. I think they're more explosive. So I'm taking our guys when it comes to that. Keys to the game or keys to victory, we're going to get into that after we hear from our guys over at Midwest Best Barbecue.
Wings and them CTVs. Midwest Best is the place to be for curing wings. Midwest Best is the place to be for curing wings. The Ace to the Zim, M to the D's. Uno wings, G-Funk wings, and them CTVs. Midwest Best is the place to be for curing wings. Midwest Best is the place to be for curing wings. Say what up to Jordan Battle. We be going to battle. Intercepting balls like CTV did on Seattle. Putting 6 up on AZ. Juice game amazing. Make sure you come get these wings, cause Zimby stay blazing. And T-Game be smooth as ice. Jamal making DBs fold. TV got big levels, and now you already know. It's so pretty for Uno wings. Cam got the new wings. We call them CTBs. Only at MBs. Asian to the Zim. M to the B's.
Shout out Midwest Best Barbecue 669 Justice Court in Loveland, Ohio. Make sure you stop in and let them know Ace and Zim sent you. They got all kinds of barbecue there, but it's chicken wing season. They got some of the best wings, voted to have the best wings in the city of Cincinnati. Make sure you check them out, whether it's G-Funk, CTB, whether it's the Dillinators. Make sure that you holler at them and let them know Ace and Zim sent you. Keys to this game, man. Like, give me the game plan, Zim, for how the Bengals can win this game against the Eagles.
Establish the run. I looked at all of these games. Even Bijan ran for 6.8 yards a carry in that game. Everybody has had a chance to run on these dudes. Jacobs with the Packers. Everybody has been able to run the football on the Eagles, bro. I don't know why people are not talking about that as much. If the Bengals can establish the run, even in the Buccaneers that I lined out, that Baker Mayfield had 350 yards passing, their rushing duo both had 50 yards apiece, and they averaged 5 yards a pop. The Bengals have an opportunity to do that. One of the things that was brought up to Zach Taylor at the press conference was talking about like going to T. Higgins and Jamar Chase a lot. And Zach was like, "You got a problem with that?" I somewhat do, Zach, because it makes you super predictable when you're only going to those dudes and you're going 3 and out. If you want to have Jamar Chase and T. Higgins featured, hell yeah, I'm 1,000% ready for that, right? But you have to include the other entities on your team to make the defense respect those guys so that they're not giving all that energy to just those guys in those third down situations. Establish the run. Feed off the fact that they want to get after Joe Burrow. They're coming off of an 8-sack game. So they're going to want to get after him. Misdirection stuff. Misdirection stuff, weak side stuff to go to Eric All, go to Yoshi. Not just one time in a big spot. Go to him multiple times. Go watch the Ravens currently right now. It's just a little stupid screen on first down, something like that. Get yourself like 6-7 yards and always ahead of the chains. When they get ahead of the chains, the Bengals could be the number 1 team in football. But what's happening is their first down efficiency is so bad that they get themselves in these hard third downs where you're having nothing but tight window throws. And that's what you don't want. Get Darius Slay out there in the open field. Get to be able to tackle the Jamar. You want to get Jamar Chase involved? Throw him a bubble screen early in this game, an orbit screen early in this game to Jamar Chase. Get him out there and make them have to tackle him, right? And then later in the drive, make sure that you're doing different things to continue to establish the run. I love when they go off tackle and be able to bounce runs out and get Chase Browns out there. Do not do the crack tosses or whatever or anything like that. The weakness of the Eagles, to me, is the linebacking group. So the tight ends in this game, much like last week, should be very much involved. And if that's blocking early in the run game or catching passes to make sure that you're making life easier on Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. And that's what I would do offensively. On the defensive end, I think we've seen the game plan a little bit last week. Make sure that the bare fronts and the different fronts that you have can stop the Browns. I mean, how we stop the Browns run game, whatever. I know that Nick Chubb's coming off an injury. I'm not comparing Saquon Barkley to him. Stop the run early in there. Get them in third down situations where you're throwing tight window throws. Trust CTB to be able to go one-on-one if he has to with A.J. Brown. It sounds crazy. It might be crazy, but I think that is your best chance to being able to allocate other resources to making sure that you can stop the run. And if they can do those things consistently, I think that the Bengals can win this. Like I said, Joe Burrow in his last 11 games against NFC opponents is 10-1. The only loss was the Commanders game that we just had the other night, and Joe Burrow played really damn well in that game.
Yeah, I think the biggest key is protecting Joe Burrow. I mean, especially when it comes to pass protection. I think the Eagles team, even though they just had the game where they ended up getting 8 sacks, they haven't been this amazing pass rush before that, right? So I think keeping Joe Burrow upright, making sure that he has pockets to step into, making sure that Joe doesn't end up having any kind of happy fit in this game is key, because if you think back to the first time he played this team, that was an issue. They were able to get pressure against Joe Burrow. So it'd be interesting to see how he plays against this team. I think being able to make sure that you call plays that open up Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. Like we didn't see Jamar Chase in the backfield last week. We need to see those plays more often. because when this offense runs through those guys, it's more explosive. I think we need to see better run selections and play selections just throughout the game in general. And like, what's the whole thing with Eric? Oh, like get him involved in this game and more than just 1 or 2 targets. I like to see them do that if possible. Like Zach said though, because I think PDJ asked him, he was like, "You have an issue with it being heavy Jamar Chase and T Higgins?" Nah, I don't have a problem with that at all. So if that continues to be the trend, make sure that happens on defense. Make sure that you're containing these receivers and trying to slow them down. Don't let them have any explosive runs or passes. I think if they're able to do what they did similarly last week with the Cleveland Browns, they can get 300-400 yards of offense, right? But if they're not getting the scores, that's what's key. Make sure that you're doing that. Make sure that you're winning the turnover margin. And I think if you do that, you're coming out of here with the victory. So those are my keys to the game, what the game plan should be for the Bengals. And I think the Bengals can get out of here with a victory. This is a huge win, bro, because if they get and then they get to take on the Raiders after that, spiraling at this point, you're talking about being back at 500, potentially being able to go over. But until we get there, got to be told the Eagles now.
Joe Burrow said something at the podium, and he said, "Man, we got the potential to be great." And call me crazy, I just believe Joe. And I think that, man, they can get 4-4. Look out. I really feel like some of the things that people want, like a trade, I don't think that that's impossible. I don't think it's Max Crosby, but I do think that they do trade. I think that they have extra money in case of an injury. That happened to Dax Hill. I think that they'll go get a corner if they have to. And I don't know if they feel the same way we feel about the defensive line, because right now the defensive line is playing pretty damn well. And so, I don't know what else you would really be going for. It's like a corner to me. I would. Somebody asked me about trading the Cooper Kupp article or whatever that was written. The one thing that I think is crazy about that is that currently right now they have a 3rd round player that they're not playing. Can you imagine giving up another 2nd round pick for a 31-year-old wide receiver and you're not playing a young boy that's right there sitting there? And think about this. The only snaps that they gave Burton was kneel downs. Do you know how he's probably feeling right now? I don't care what kind of doghouse people are trying to say he's in. You cannot tear down this dude's confidence like that. A lot of people in the audience have said, "Burton, I feel you. I feel like we've been preaching this Burton stuff all year." And I hate the fact that they're waiting so long, because I'm telling everybody now, when Burton does go out there and he has success, we're going to look back at all these other games and say, why wasn't he out there?
Nah, I agree. Well, that has been the Wincinnati podcast. Thank you guys for tuning in so much. As you guys know, we are live every Monday and Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Make sure that you guys follow us on Twitter at Wincinnati Pod, at Zim Hude, at New Stripe City. Make sure that you guys support the podcast. We appreciate it. Make sure you like and share it with all of your friends. Zim, was there anything that you want to say before we get out of here?
Hey, Uday.
Uday.